going on out there, guys? How are you? Welcome back to Calgary Barbell. We are here to wrap up another week of training. So quickly to run through what happened this week. Monday came in, did some light pause squat stuff. Those felt rather good. I was 5 kilos shy of last week, but got my last load drop set in. So I got a little bit more volume, counting that as a step in the right direction with the squat. Moved on to shirted bench that day. Things went, it was a mixed bag again, as it sometimes is in equipment. So I got a touch at 210 or 215 and then missed that because I think I either need a little bit more weight to touch with the collar at that height, or I need to start playing with the collar height to get lighter weights to touch. So that's something I'll be looking at doing a lot more of in my next equipped cycle, trying to vary the collar height to get touches out of lighter weights, jacking it down a little bit to get up into the heavier stuff. But I got a decent rep down to about a 1 board with 230. It was definitely a 10 at the lockout. There's no way I would have done another rep there, but pretty happy that I finally moved over 500 pounds in the shirt, even if it was kind of what Eric Willis and I have coined the equipped Spoto press. So it's intentional. I didn't want to touch. Tuesday came in and I pulled 365 kilos for a single and held on to it. The grip was starting to slip a little bit. That's 805 for anybody who doesn't know kilos. It'll be on the video clip, whatever. So I pulled 805 for the first time. Pretty stoked about that. If grip had not been an issue, I think I would have probably given it about an 8.5 RPE. But with grip being what it was, I'd say that's a 10. That was a pretty maximal lift for me. So in this next developmental block, I'm gonna be washing out for a couple of weeks. The next 2 weeks, I'm gonna be doing a bit of a washout. I'm gonna come back in the following block and be doing a lot more grip work. So I'm gonna incorporate some heavy, I think, high block pulls and static holds and stuff like that. Maybe I'll go a little bit more into detail when I do that stuff. Also, when I set that 805 down, I had a little bit of a close call with my toe. I felt the weight drop and bounce in. It shifted a little bit, and it was just enough to kind of compress the wall of my shoe, just enough that I felt a little bit of a squish on my toe.
I felt a little bit of a squish on my toe.
No, it was nothing that did any damage or that even really hurt. I could just tell that something kind of compressed my toe a little bit. So after I deadlifted on Tuesday, I moved on to do some pin press, and I feel like I kind of got my mojo, got my stride back on my bench a little bit this week. Did 167.5 kilos at a good solid 8.5, somewhere in that range, and then a triple with 155 kilos, both of which felt really good. I kind of remembered to set up more on my traps and less on the back of my shoulder blades, and that seemed to make a big difference. Wednesday was close grip incline and rows, nothing super exciting there. I think I got 117.5 for a set of 6 on the incline, and then came in today and did my first squat single. So my first sort of step back into more competition focused training leading into nationals. So today was a raw squat single. I did 252.5 kilos, which I think is about 550, and it moved really well. I'm still moving everything at a snail's pace quite intentionally to make sure that my timing of the glutes locking out and everything like that is correct and is not painful. So making sure things aren't hurting. Did my volume 240 kilos for 5 sets of triples, and those went relatively well. By the end of it, I think I was up around a 10 RPE. But again, I'm kind of doing everything with almost like a 303 tempo, so it's making things really challenging, but it's keeping things pain-free, so I'm stoked about that. I did my competition bench today, however. Worked up, did 160. That went up like a 7-8 RP, I felt anyways. Dylan said it looked a lot slower than that, but I felt good. So I took the jump. I wanted to take 170 kilos and I just totally missed it. It got maybe a ½ inch off the chest and just died. So I'm not exactly sure what's happened there. It seems throughout this training cycle, Thursday's been the day where I think all of the benching earlier in the week catches up and just stomps me. And then I come back in on Friday and usually do pretty well. But timing wise, Thursday hasn't been my best. My competition raw bench has not been looking super good this training cycle. I've been floating around the same numbers. RPs have been steadily climbing as fatigue builds up. So I'm not super stoked about that, but I came down to, I did 142.5 kilos was supposed to be for my 5x5. I did one set of 5. It was like touch and go and a 10 RPE. So I just came down to 130, banged out the last 4 sets of 5. Nice, good, controlled tempo, good pauses, good speed, all that kind of stuff. So just got the work in there, tried to put the ego aside a little bit as much as I wanted to cry. This weekend I'll be heading to Edmonton. I'm presenting at the APU Coaching Summit alongside some incredible minds in powerlifting. Mike T is going to be there, my coach. Bryce Lewis is going to be there presenting, as well as a couple other coaches from around Alberta that I really respect a lot. So I'm super stoked to go do that, and I'm actually going to get a training session in with Mike on Saturday if the stars align and everything goes well. So I'm going to do my chain deadlift and my 2-board chain press there. So it won't be in this video, and I can't tell you how it went because I don't know yet. So moving on to the question of the day, we have one from Kieran Cole, I believe. There's a couple of numbers in there to make things a little bit edgy, so it's a little bit harder to read, but I think it's Kieran Cole. Anyways, he wants to know, I said something about my training split where I deadlift the day after I squat. Do I recommend this for most people, and doesn't squatting the day before deadlifting affect your performance? So to answer your question, Kieran, yes, I do think it's beneficial to deadlift the day after you squat. In a powerlifting competition, you're always going to have squatted and benched before you deadlift. So I believe that there's some carryover and some specificity to be gained by doing it that way in your training. If you're continually preparing yourself and your deadlifts and your training are always with that little bit of fatigue carryover from squatting, I think you're gonna have an easier time sustaining your energy throughout a whole competition and making sure that those first 3 squats don't absolutely trash you for the deadlifts that are gonna happen later that day. I see a lot of people training with this sort of split up lower frequency where you're squatting here and then 2 or 3 days later you're deadlifting. And those are often a lot of the same people who go to a meet and say, holy crap, by the end of the day I was so bagged I didn't have anything left for deadlift. I think this is a really good way to specifically train to make sure that you're able to maintain your strength and your energy and that acute fatigue buildup throughout the day of a powerlifting meet. So that's why I do it that way. That's why I program it that way for my lifters, and I do think there is some benefit to that. Do I think it's the best way or the only way to train? No, but that's why I do it, and that's why I program it for my lifters. All right, guys, thanks again for tuning in. We will be back next week with some more videos. Thanks, everybody. We got a lot of new subscribers lately, so thanks and hello to everybody who's tuning in now. And take care. Have a good week. Train hard.